theme of this piece is to look into the future and to try and understand what does this all mean in terms of what will happen next with policy, with technology, with implementation, priorities, and so on, in digital health. Now, as this is the 25th anniversary of ETEL, you'll see in the program it says we're looking 25 years into the future. Now, that's a long way to the future, especially with the rate things are moving at. So we might want to kind of squash it down a bit to maybe 10 years, maybe is a bit more manageable to do that. But let me introduce the people in the panel. So on the far left, we have Saila Rinde. Is that okay? Pronunciation. And Saila is acting head of unit for e-health, well-being and aging in DG Connect. Yes. And then next to Saila, we have Fulvia Raffaelli. Fulvia is head of unit for digital health in DG Santé. Yep. Then we have two people you've already met if you were here this morning. Petra Wilson is with us from Health Connect Partners, the company she runs now. And last but not least, Clemens Auer, who is responsible for the e-health forum in Gastein and has previous roles in Austrian government. I should have started by saying who I was, to probably mystify, but I'm John Crawford, and I'm a past president of ETEL. I was vice president of George Crookes when he was doing the job, and I did the president's job for 2 years until 2018 when I retired from IBM. And this is my first trip back to Brussels in 6 years. So it's nice to be back again. Nice to be invited. So okay, I think we're ready to move on from that. Yeah, it's very nice to come back and see so many familiar faces and quite a lot of unfamiliar ones, which, as Mark says, is bodes very well for the future of the association. Great. Right. Okay. So let's start with just a few comments on the problems of predicting what might happen. I mean, we all love to do it. I mean, who doesn't like to do a presentation about how great the future is going to be? But 25 years ahead, that really is hard. So be very careful about what you predict. And here's three I picked out from the technological computing industry. And I want to just make the point that these are not what they seem. So in 1949, a magazine called Popular Mechanics predicted that in the future, computers may weigh no more than 1.5 tons. Now, why was that a good prediction? Well, at the time, a typical computer weighed 30 tons, and it was made of about 80,000 tubes, vacuum tubes. And so 1.5 tons, well, doesn't sound good to us, but at the time it sounded, wow, 20-fold improvement in size to power ratio. That's pretty good. Of course, we might ridicule this now, but actually, in 1957, IBM introduced the first transistor-powered digital computer called the 608, and it weighed 1.2 tons. So they weren't far off, actually. But of course, if we look at from today's perspective, looking back 75 years, it does seem a bit crazy. So you've got to kind of define what you mean by your prediction horizon. The second one, Ken Olsen, who was the founder of digital computing, who was a big competitor to IBM back in the 60s and 70s, he came up with the idea that there's no reason why anybody would want a computer in their home. Now, think about that. How many computers do we have in our homes? But what he was talking about really was a physical computer that you owned. The idea that he had was computers were expensive, they were difficult to operate. You probably would want to use a computer, but you'd want a little terminal like a television, like a teletype thing in your house. That's what he was saying. But basically, he hadn't considered how quickly the progress of semiconductors would move. Finally, Bill Gates is said to have said 640K of memory ought to be enough for anybody. The Apple Watch you see on the left-hand side has 50,000 times that amount of memory in it. Why did he think 640 was enough? Because it's all we could actually do at the time inside the IBM PC. That was as big as it got. Again, he has gone on to say he didn't really mean it that way. But just be very careful when you predict the future. Be very, very careful. Okay. I did want to show you this, however. This is exactly 100 years old this year. This is a real magazine called Radio News. It was published in 1924, where a guy called Hugo Gernsback, the editor, was predicting the radio doctor. This is telehealth, right? 100 years ago. brilliant. You know, he had all the elements right there: the patient, the equipment, the kids in the background making faces. Um, so you kind of anticipated it. And how he's able to do this, and the reason is that he was interested in two things: technology and science fiction. And so he had the kind of brain that could envisage this. Sadly, we had to wait about 60 years for this to become a reality. But, you know, he got there at the start of it. Finally, I just want to kind of bring us right up to the point where we can ask the questions now, which are thinking back to 1999 when ETEL was founded, what do we actually have? The 90s were a brilliant decade for technology. 1993, the World Wide Web was launched and the first web browsers appeared. 94, Amazon was founded. Amazon's, 30 years old this year. It's quite surprising. 95, Windows 95 came along and we had the dot-com bubble with all this huge amount of money coming into software companies. 97, IBM's Deep Blue machine beat Gary Kasparov at chess, and AI suddenly became interest to the public. 98, Google was founded, and 99, we were all worried about the millennium bug. So quite a lot of things happened, but we're still missing a lot of technologies that we take for granted today. So since then, in the lifespan of ETEL, we've now got broadband connectivity pretty pervasively, cloud computing, wearables, modern smartphones, the iPhone from 2007 onwards, robotics, machine learning, language models, and Gen AI, as we've heard today throughout the sessions. And of course, on the healthcare side, we've now got many national and regional programs have either failed or succeeded or done a bit of each. We've got more and more use of open standards, as we've heard, patient portals, social alarms, telehealth chatbots. So the technology has come leaps and bounds. The question is, what does this mean for government and for healthcare systems and for the public?